don't forget to click that subscribe and bell icon to receive a notification each time I upload a new video. Hi everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm sitting in, or standing in, for Ian. No, I'm definitely sitting in for Ian again for Steampunk Tuesday today. You have to excuse me though, because Mr. Bentley is padding around somewhere, squeaking his toy, so there may be a little bit of noise from him if he decides to join us. But also, Ian's downstairs in his workshop and he's doing a bit of hammering and drilling and making a little bit of noise down there too. So there may be a little bit of noise from Ian in the background. I do apologise beforehand. So today, I'm going to do another art journal page, a steampunky themed art journal page, but I've been doodling again. Yeah, so let me turn over to my overhead camera and I'll show you what I've been doodling. Okay, let me explain. I was looking on the internet for some inspiration for a Halloween project as part of my 7 days of Halloween that I've already started to think and plan for. And I spotted this really cute kind of gnome character. It's a little plush thing, about 8 inches high. There are two, that one as well. But I liked the shape of the hat, I liked the little nose, and I liked the beard and that kind of thing. And I thought that might be quite a nice idea to do for something for Halloween, seeing as these gnomes are dressed for Halloween. Kind of cute. So I did a little sketch, I did a little doodle using that as inspiration, but mine has a smaller hat, and also I've dressed him up to look a little bit more like a wizard. Obviously with the stars and things on there. And I've put the hands together so that it's easier to draw, basically, and easier to cut out, he says. You wait and see. Those words will come back and bite me on the backside, believe me. So that was the first basis for the doodle that I did while I was sat chatting to Ian this morning over the breakfast table. After I'd done that and we'd gone our separate ways, him to his garage and me came up here, I got my tracing paper out again, and this time I started tracing over the top. But because I knew I had to do something for Steampunk Tuesday today, it kind of evolved a little bit. So let me just lay that over the top of there. Look, you can see the beard and the nose and the position of the hat is exactly the same, but I've extended him a little bit and I've changed the hat to a topper with a little kind of like some pipes and a little gauge up there, and he's also carrying a walking stick. And I've named him Albert. So Albert Cogberg. Yeah, I know. So that was the initial kind of sketch that I did based on my initial doodle that I did at the breakfast table. So that was done just using ordinary ballpoint pen over the top of that doodle, just to kind of get the shape and the proportions right. Remember when I said I did the hands close together so that it'd make it easy to cut out? And I knew that it'd come back and bite me in the backside. Yeah, look what I did. I changed it just to make things a bit easy for myself. Not. Anyway, so this is the evolved character. Obviously we've got some steam coming out of his hat there. He's got a gauge, he's got some pipes there. He's got his little skull walking cane, his little pocket watch in his pocket, and obviously he's got the obligatory steampunk handlebar, moustache and beard. But again, can't see his eyes, so he's still a bit of a whimsical character. So that's what I devised from that. So from that, I scanned this image into my computer, cleaned him up a little bit, and he turned into that. So I brought him into my Adobe Illustrator, converted the image into a vector graphic, and this is what it looks like. So it's lost a little bit of the detail. You can see where the lines on his knees, where the original line of his frock coat was, is now gone because I've cleaned it up. The pocket watch is still there. I've added another little circle bit just to emphasize the shape of the pocket watch in his pocket. The beard's the same, got rid of that little bit of ragginess around the beard there, and I've added a bit more detail onto the gauge on his hat. So that's the character. So that was my inspiration for today. So he's going to become my main focal point for the art journal page that I'm going to create today. And I've already created the art journal page. I'm doing it for my loose leaf journal. I will be doing it into my loose leaf journal. Once I've got round to deciding exactly how I'm going to create the covers for it. So this is an 8x8 watercolour cardstock. It's the, I always have to remember to do this. It's the Dale Rowney A3 in metric sizes, which is 16.5 by 11.7 inches or 420 by 297, and it's 250 GSM or £169. And this is the, he says, trying to get that in camera without knocking anything over, the mixed media paper. My preferred paper for working on that I found. Okay, so I've cut this at 8 inches by 9 inches, and then I've scored and folded an inch flap, so that will be where it gets bound into my journal. I've left myself an inch because I haven't decided whether I'm going to do punched holes on book rings or those post screws that you can get. What are they called? Chicago screws, I think. Boston, Denver. I know it's an American name. Anyway, a type of screw that goes through and it screws together for scrapbooking. But I haven't decided how I'm going to do it just yet. So there's still plenty of time. But 8x8 page, there we go. So that's the crux of it. So I wanted to create a kind of nice steampunky background for Albert. And then I remembered I had done a steampunk ephemera set with backgrounds and valves and clocks and dials and that kind of stuff way back in 2017. March 2017 to be precise, and it's the steampunkery set. 8 pages, or 8x8 pages with fantastic steampunky kind of textures on there. So I thought that's what I would use for this one for my background. So this is page number 3 from the set, but I also printed off page number 4, which has got all the clocks and the gauges and the dials, which I want to include on this art journal page. So am I making sense yet? Probably not, but hey ho. So first things first, I'm going to glue this down onto my art journal page, and I'm just going to use just ordinary kind of glue. So I'm going to use the Elmer Ghost Purple and Dries Clear stuff. Now I have noticed that using this does sometimes make the pages cockle a little, makes them go a little bit rutled, but you know, spirit glue's better because spirit glue doesn't tend to do that. Actually, no, let's not use that then if that's the case. Let's use some spirit glue. Now, have I got some left in there? Yes, I've just heard 4 paws just jumped down off a bed. Ah, there we go. Hello, Mr. Bentley Booze. What are you doing? Have you woke it up? Have you been asleepies? I can imagine Mr. Teddy's going to make an appearance in a second. I'm just going up and down. Hello, sweetie pie. What are you doing? Where are you going? You're back here. Come here. Come here. Stood at the top of the stairs. Hello, sweetheart. Hello, darling. I know. What a beautiful baby. I just woke it up, have you? Oh. Poor little thing. Yeah, hard life. Okay, so let's just go back and forth, back and forth quickly before it dries, and I don't want it to dry. That's the one problem with spirit-based glue. Right, let's lift that up and let's get that stuck down onto the art journal page. We've got a little bit of wiggle room just to kind of manoeuvre it. Now then, a bit too much gap. Things are falling off the shelf. Okay, I've got a little bit of a gap there, that's okay. I can always add a little bit of paint and distressing layers. So we'll just get that stuck down there. Okay, so that's going to be the basis for the art journal page. In fact, actually, what I could do is I might just trim that off. It doesn't necessarily matter whether you've got the same size pages in your journal. You can have whatever page size you want, particularly if you're doing a loose leaf one where you're going to bind it all together later. So the world is your winkle, as they say. Right, that's that down. So page number 4 from the Steampunkery set is this one, like I said earlier. Now, I made the decision when I did this to make these dials, clocks and gauges a uniform size so that they would fit standard sized punches. I know, you're welcome. So the smaller ones fit an inch punch today. That size one fits the 1.5 inch punch, and the larger ones, you guessed it, fit the 2 inch punch. That's just a reminder for eBay, because I'm looking at something. So what I want to do is just push that into the punch, just line it up as best I can. 2 inch punch, there you go. Fantastic. And let's do this one over here as well. I'm not going to use all of them, obviously. I'm going to use 2 or 3. It just gives you a tiny, tiny, tiny little borderette around there. So that's a couple of 2 inches. So let's do the oil. No, that's too big, that one, isn't it? I've got 1.5 inches in that one. I have, but it's in there, look. Oh, that's annoying. Okay, what we've got round, let's do, we've got that water one. We have to cut it, aren't I? Right, okay. Let's bite the bullet. And we'll just whiz round there. So, while I'm cutting this out and just doing that, we had some good news yesterday, by the way. Seeing as we're on the subject of steampunk today, it was announced yesterday that the Steampunk Festival in Lincoln, which isn't working or isn't going to be done this year, is back next year, and they've made a big announcement that they're actually going to be holding a huge steampunk ball in Lincoln Cathedral, actually in the cathedral next year, which is going to be amazing. So what else are we going to do? Let's do, I kind of like that one, but again I'm going to have to cut that one out to get to it. Snip snip. Okay, so now that COVID restrictions are being lifted here in the UK, everything is starting to feel like it's getting back to normal. Okay, so let's have a couple of smaller ones now. I like that one there, but that's a barometer, isn't it? I think you can't really read it, so that's a good one. So we'll have that one there, Norton electrical instruments. So we'll have that one because that's a tiny one, and we'll also have yeah, I think we will have that one. Or shall we have that one, the small version of that one? Yeah, I think so. Why not? Yes, as things are starting to get back to normal again, then obviously they're organisers for the shows and affairs and events here in the UK. They're all starting to stick their head above the parapet now and say, right, okay, I think it's time for us to start planning and announcing what we're going to be doing for next year, because there are some that are taking place this year, but not as many as usual. So, okay, so we've got that. We need to add just a tad, he says, of distress around the edges, just to disguise that raw white. So let's just grab some vintage photo, and then we'll just quickly whip round. I'm only holding the circle very, very lightly, so that when I touch it with the foam, it's actually moving and turning itself. I know, it's like magic. So just go around until you can no longer see any white as it's whipping round in your fingers. So I'll just quickly do the rest of those. And if you've got some acetate and you're feeling really adventurous and your punches are capable of doing so, if you cut the same size piece of acetate and lay it over the top, you'll get like a shiny glass effect. Failing that, you can always go over the top of all this lot with glossy accents if you felt so inclined, but for me these are too big, and they possibly will buckle with the glossy accents, but also it's going to use up a heck of a lot, and I'm too cheap to do that. Right, let's just move that lamp back out the way. I've got some new lamps, I know, bright aren't they, and they just cast a little bit more light down onto my work area. They don't cast it anywhere else, but just on the work area. My two big photographic lights that I've got up here, these ones, that's the reflections you can see there. I've had these lamps for about 8 or 9 years now, and they're starting to go dim. So it may be time to start looking at replacements. Okay, so I've got some gauges and dials. So I've got 6 of those. Okay, so let's go back onto Albert. Mr. Albert Cogberg. So that's how we started off. Okay, so that was the cleaned up version, and I thought, would it be great to be able to just print him onto like a dictionary page? And then I suddenly realised that I can't put dictionary pages through my printer because A, they're too small, and B, they're too flimsy and they'll tear, because my printer that I'm using for this is a laser. So I had to layer him onto a gazetteer image before printing him out. So that was the bottom layer, and then I printed Albert over the top. So that way I've got that fantastic interest of the paper and that pattern showing through when I get my colouring pens out again. So that's the next step, is to go away, to colour him in and to cut him out. But because you guys have seen people colouring in using alcohol pens and that kind of stuff loads and loads of times before, there's that many tutorials, that many different things, and watching somebody colour something in is as boring as hell, as is cutting out. I will go away, do this, and then I'll come back. I'm not watching anymore. There we go. And I'm back again. Only kidding. No, I'd already done it. I printed 2 off before I started. I wouldn't do that to you. So there you go. So already coloured in using a mixture of, I do have some Copic pens, so a mixture of Copic markers and the Pro markers, which are now owned by, not Letraset anymore, it's now Winsor & Newton. Okay, but mine still say Letraset on it because I've had mine for years. So, and I've used, obviously, Steampunk colours to colour him in. We've got browns, we've got some nice striped grey morning trousers, but I've brought that verdigris kind of colouring in the band, and I've also got it in the lining of his frock coat, and I picked it up on his boot, on his buttons, on his coat and on his boots as well. So we've got that nice kind of steampunky verdigris colour. Now there was something else, but I can't find it at the moment. I've probably knocked it onto the floor, knowing me. So there is a possibility that later on this project may turn slightly lavatorial, seeing as we're talking about pipes and plumbing and gauges and stuff. And I had it somewhere and it's gone, so that means I have knocked it onto the floor. But hey ho, I'll come back to that later. So we're done with the punches, so I can put those to one side, down there on the floor, give myself some rum. So we can now audition Albert. So he can sit about there. I want him at this side a little bit, but I also want a bit of space at this side for the dials and the gauges to go. So we'll have that one down there, and we'll have that one. And I'm kind of following the joins in the metal plates behind, because they kind of give you that extra bit of structure behind these. So put that there, then put that one there. That can follow that one. So that one can sit there like that. And then we'll get, actually I don't think I want to put, no, what I'll do is let's follow that one, put that one just below so we can see those rivets like that. And then this one I think can sit over there just to give it that little bit of interest at that side, because I've still got a quote and things to put on this page. So it's turning into it's collaged, we've coloured, digistamp, all good fun. Right, so let's start adding a bit of glue onto the back of those dials. So we'll do that one first. And put that one there. And then that one goes down there. So it was a good idea to audition your pieces first so you know exactly where they're going. So we said that one's going to go out there, didn't we? So that one wants to go about there. And I'm layering them up, slightly overlapping them. And of course, who doesn't love a nice circle motif on an art journal page? Circles are great. Alright, so we'll add that smaller one now. So that one can just overlap there. Just move it over a little bit. For no other reason than we can. Right, oil. Let's see if I can pick some of that glue that's fallen on my desktop. I will have to clean it in a minute. See, I've put glue on the back of that one. That's not the one that's going down next. Oh, look at that. It's like it's alive. These glue strings are everywhere. One drawback with spirit glue. Snotty strings. Okay, so let's move that one up there. Because I want Albert just to stand about there, so that just overlaps a little bit, and then we said we'd stick that one down just there so you can still see those rivets on the page. Cool. Okay, all those are now stuck, I think, so it's okay for us to add Albert onto the page. So you can see where I've coloured him in, look. It's just a little bit of glue just down onto the cane. Just in case you thought I'd done it on the computer. I had quite a bit of fun doodling, creating whimsy characters and sitting and colouring them in. It's, you know, to be able to sit and do that, it's just really quite relaxing. It's quite fun. You can just switch off, switch the old brain off and not really worry. It's a nice cathartic little exercise. So we've got all that. Oh, and I did go around the edges, obviously, with another marker just to get rid of the kind of like raw edges on that as well, on Albert. Forgot to mention that. Just rub that slightly to get rid of any excess glue. And then we just need to leave that for a minute or two to set, which will give me time to go down and make a cup of coffee. And I'll be right back after I've had a bit of a tidy up as well. Okay, so everything's pretty much dried now. I've got my quote that I want to stick onto the art journal page. So I'm just going to quickly just go around the edges just to get rid of those raw whites, but also just to add a little bit more of a pop to those word blocks. And one of these days I will learn that I don't need to make my font, my words, quite so big when I'm doing art journal pages. For some reason I always tend to go around about 18 to 20 point when I'm doing stuff like this, and really you don't need to. 14 to 16 is more than adequate size when you're printing out a quote or a phrase or a slogan or something for an art journal page. It really, really doesn't need to be this big. And to be honest, when you've got a long sentence or something like that, you know, more than one word or whatever, it can be quite a lot. But hey ho. Right. Okay, so next, let's grab a pad just to use as some scratch paper while I glue these down, so don't give ingos first. Right, so what I want to do, I'm also going to add a little bit of washi tape underneath, just because I did have some tweezers somewhere. There we go. Help me put them down where I want them to go. See, I haven't put the washi tape down straight either. Tell you what, let's just leave that washi tape. Don't really need it. There. Tell you what I'll do. I will go around the edges with the washi tape. That'll hide that white edge. It's a good enough way of adding a border. So I'll put that just about there. There we go. That'll doodle. Okay. Don't give in to pressure. You'll only blow a gasket. Right, so remember at the beginning when I said this may turn a bit lavatorial? I did this. So this is like an escape of steam. The idea was to put it there. But then I thought, I could put it there, but no. Ain't gonna happen. Even though I've got my standards. They may be low, but they're mine. Right. A bit of glue on the back of there. And then... Now I used the same size punch to create the curve that I used to punch that out. Because I've done it afterwards and didn't put it underneath. Now you notice that I've not stuck it down. That's because I want to get some washi tape and I'm going to put the washi tape just underneath, like that. Now I'll stick it down, and then I'm going to use that washi tape as my border. Which is a technique you don't often see me use. But I thought for this, for today, it would work quite well. Because it's almost like a hazard tape, isn't it? Like a warning tape. Plus you've got the points on the actual washi tape, which will help you to line it up. Just make sure you get it almost as straight as you want it. So let me just pull that one back, and then we can flip that over. I should have already trimmed it, shouldn't I? You live and learn. Right. Come on, come on, come on, come on. There we go. Just grab the scissors. Like it, like it. Right, just nip that one off. Okay, so let's go back that way, following the same direction all the way around. Trying to keep it lined up. Seem to have been doing a lot of kind of whimsical stuff recently. It might just be the frame of mind I've been in. But there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with a nice bit of whimsy. Or a good bit of whimsy. Right, so we'll go up that way just to frame the page off. And try and line it up with the crease. Yeah, I've not got it just exactly right, I'm not too bothered. There we go. It's near enough, isn't it? Push, give it a fold, and you can always run over it after. Just give it a push down, burnish it. Just helps it stick a bit. There we go. So there is my kind of tongue-in-cheeky art journal page for today. And I'm not going to write on the front. I'm actually going to write on the back. I'm going to put, just sign it and put today's date, which I believe is the 3rd today. Yes, it is. It's the 3rd of the 8th, 21. There we go. So I hope you've enjoyed watching me create that steampunky art journal page. If you have, please remember to give the video a thumbs up, share the video with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. I actually remembered it this time. So that's all from me for now. I will see you all again very, very soon. Bye for now. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. Thank you.